What's happening? Of course, you know it's your boy B-High Radio. Shout in as always. I got my podcast partner off in this thing. OG Gangsta Wicked, a.k.a. Big Galaxy of Ghetto Mafia.
I'm in the building, man. B-High, I got one little grievance before we start, though.
What's your grievance today, man?
I mean, you're going to have to start having some little chicken biscuits or little nuggets or something when I come. When you get me up early in the morning like this to come, I need like a little platter, you know what I'm saying?
You want a whole breakfast meal laid out for you?
Yeah.
Like you the king of Samunda in my office?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I need all that.
We ain't doing all that.
Yeah, butter rolls, all that, you know what I'm saying?
And some caviar, too.
Yeah, a little caviar. Little grape poupon.
Yeah, you already like to drink your beers with your pinky out, so I mean, I'll just give you an excuse to do it again.
I slit some more liquor bull with my pinky out. What's that in it?
Hey, man, you know, in trending topics, you know, Trick Daddy, he explains why he does not identify as African-American, stating that he never been there, and I'm going to just let you hear it to see what you thought about what he had to say, because, you know, a lot of folks went into an uproar over what he said.
Okay.
But here it is.
Trying to figure out how Afro get in front of my mother race. I ain't never been to Afro color. I never been to Africa. Afro or Africa. Never been there. I'm not from Africa. I'm born and raised in Goose, Florida. I'm born in Goose, raised in Liberty City in the Poker Bean Project. I ain't never went to Africa. I ain't thinking about going there. And I heard it's a beautiful place. Yeah. And I know it's the motherland, yes. But not my mother, not her mother, and not her mother's mother. That ain't their land. America, real true land is right here in the U.S. soils. Trying to figure out how Afro.
Woo!
Yeah, he went slam off, man.
Woo! Wow.
Yeah.
You want me to dive in?
Yeah, no, say what you feel, man.
I agree 100%.
Oh.
And I've been saying this to people. I've had arguments about this same thing. Mm-hmm. Now, before you kill me, or anybody else out there, you know what I'm saying, hear me out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Stay with me. Okay, first of all, I'm going to make this point. Do we refer to white people as European Americans? No, they're just Americans, or they're just white on any form or anything. With us, and this is going to get real deep right here, Beehive. When you put African in front of American, it does two things. See, when you don't want to give me a bank loan, I'm an African. When you want to give me systemic racism, I'm an African. When you need me to go fight for your country, I'm an American. When you need me to, stand for the national flag, I'm an American. See, when you take the African, when you put the African in front of American, what it subconsciously does to kids when they're young and they're in elementary school, it makes a little black kid think that I'm a foreigner, that I'm not a whole American, because I'm an African American. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not just an American. When I always felt like on our applications when we have something to fill out, we should be Black Americans, because we're Black Americans. What it's saying is I'm an American. I'm just a black one, and now I can see eye to eye with a white American. See, it puts us on the same level eye to eye with them when you call us a Black American. Call them a white American, call me a Black American, we eye to eye now. But when you call me an African American, then the African is first. Subconsciously, I'm a foreigner. And I've always been a foreigner for 400 years because I'm African. And we haven't been to Africa, Beehive. I feel like after a certain time, a lot of us not really even from Africa. A lot of us are natives. There were Native Americans here that looked just like you and I before white folks got here. You do know that. A lot of our culture, a lot of the stuff, like we go back to Harris, everybody talking about she was an Indian. A lot of that culture is African. But Indians don't say that they're African Indians. If you understand what I'm saying? I think that when you keep African in front of American for us right here, it keeps us as we're American, but you're really not from here. You're really not eye to eye with me. America is ours. We're Americans. You're an African American.
Now, I feel where you're coming from with that, Wick. I mean, it makes a whole lot of sense what you just said. You know, it goes back for me when I look at it. I mean, I don't mind it either way it goes, African American or black, because of the way things just have panned out over these 400 years. Killer Mike on his Grammy Award winning album, he has a bar where he says, I study hard like John Henry Clark. And John Henry Clark, he was an African American scholar that kind of broke down the African origins in America, as well as all over the continent and all over the world, you know. And basically, from what his study showed was that Africans had already been to America before Christopher Columbus, and then you had your indigenous black people that were already here as well.
Right.
So when Columbus got over here, you know, they saw these people and they looked black and all this extra stuff, so they named them African American. Now, I mean, just because they winded up colonizing the area and they were able to name it for what they felt like they wanted to name it for, that's not necessarily what we have to go by. But that's where you get to the conversation of why they're taking the history out of schools, because they don't want you to know your real, true roots at the same time. Because if you looking like a whole Indian sitting across from me right now, okay? Right. I know I got some Indian in my family as well. So when you have Indian, and that ain't even what we were calling them, you know, you got, when you look at Georgia, all of our rivers have Indian names.
Correct.
The Chattahoochee and all this stuff. Right. Swanee, all this stuff. These are Indian names of stuff that were named by Indians before it was even settled. Right. That are still, you know, resonating to this day. So with that being said, though, you know, we grew up and we always wonder, what happened to all the Indians? Why I don't see no Indians around here? Well, because you're looking at them. They done mixed up with the blacks and the Africans. And then when you think about the Africans coming from Africa all the way to America in the diaspora and stuff like that, just technologically speaking, if you got an old school wooden boat that could probably fit about 400 people on it or 500 people at a time, it's impossible for them to have gotten all of those people from Africa to America. It would have took hundreds of years to transport millions of people on boats that was only carrying 500 people at a time.
Absolutely.
So without having the kind of technology that we have today, it was just flat out impossible to get them over there. But the issue is that when you say we have been here before, then that, you know, opens us up to different rights. Now let me finish cooking. Yeah. That opens us up to different rights. So when you got those rights, and you say, wait a minute, this is my land. You are on my soil. Oh, you owe me this. You need to pay me that. So you got the Indians. Sometimes people get a little angry because the Indians that are getting a lot of the federal aid and government stuff, they might not look exactly like the old school Indians as well. And they're like, okay, they're allowing them to get the money. You got some people that might have 1% of Indian in them, and they're getting all kinds of federal aid, and they might not look like me or you or Indian, but they say, hey, man, I got 1% of Indian in me, so I am owed all of this stuff. Right. So these are the issues that we have in the culture as well when folks is trying to figure out exactly the nationalities of everybody. Everything is just kind of mixed up. If you really want the truth, you got to go and study with John Henry Clark, because he got everything right there laid out for everybody.
Well, and I think we're running parallel, but we're still in two different lanes. And I think we're saying two different things. What I'm saying is that there was a, and I don't know if it was on purpose or not, there was a plan kind of put in place. It goes back to systemic racism, and I'm gonna tell you why. When you put African in front of an American, you don't. If Asians are Asians, you're not gonna say a Korean Chinese. You're not gonna say a Japanese Korean. You understand what I'm saying? Everything falls up under Asia, and they have different nationalities up under that. Right, even if a Japanese person roots was Japanese, but he don't been in China for 400 years, his kids are going to be looked at on paper as Chinese, not a Japanese Chinese. They don't have those two. When you put another country in front of our, if that logic makes sense, if we're African Americans, why aren't whites called European Americans?
Well, no, I understand exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
And a lot of black people are not even going by African American no more.
Yeah.
They call themselves
White
foundational
people
black
call-
Americans.
Right.
So that's what they want to call themselves as well. I mean, me, I don't care what the hell
I get
is
it.
going
I
on.
get it.
Show me
I
the
get it.
money and show me the education
I get
and
it.
show me the civilization,
But-
and I'm going to get it in.
Africans don't even like you. First of all, that's the first thing. There are a lot of white Africans. You do know that, right?
Yeah.
As well as black Africans, and they look at each other as Africans.
Mm-hmm.
They don't call the white people over in Africa European Africans.
No, they call them colonizers. So at the end of the day, yeah. So
But
it ain't
But
gravy for
still-
them over there in the
but they're
motherland
still
either.
African.
So if you, it's
They're
still
still
everybody.
on paper. You're still African. It doesn't say European African.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. If the white people that are Africans, they don't been over there just as long, 200-300 years.
Yeah.
They might not have been enslaved.
Yeah.
They on their documents they put African.
That's because
It's
they
not-
colonized it and they said, you know what? We are African and we're going to share in your African rights, even though we might be.
And we
European.
built this up the same way.
Yeah.
And then you made my point for me.
Well, no, I didn't make your
We're
point because
Americans.
this is the issue. No, that's not the point you was making. This is the point right here. If you got white folks, European people in Africa, they colonized Africa, and in order to be able to obtain all of the rights in Africa, they had to call themselves African. Same way in America. After they colonized America, they said, okay, we're going to call everybody American, and we are American.
Except for blacks.
But
they call us African American. They don't call everybody American.
and I feel that. But they assumed the title of American the same way they assumed the title of African.
Correct.
So in our case, we don't have our proper history to be able to assume exactly who we are. We are in the middle of a land to where it's mass confusion. So when we go back to history, we need to be able to know. Do you know who your great-great-great-great-grandfather was? Do you know who your great-great-great-great-grandmother was? Do you know if they were an African? Do you know if they were an Indian? Do you know if they were a Jamaican? Do you know if they were from South America? Do you know if they were from Europe? We don't know where they're all from. We have these classifications, and as everything evolves, we change as we go. So African American, we weren't always African American either. That was something that we came up with.
We're not either.
Now we're calling ourselves foundational black Americans. That's what folks are calling themselves now. So it's all about a woke movement and where you want to place yourself on the spectrum of this woke movement. Do you want to be a black American? Do you want to be a foundational black American? Do you want to be an African American? You could be whatever the hell you want to be.
When you say African American, we fall in the middle of that because Africans don't recognize you as an African. And now America don't recognize you as an American. America recognizes you as an African, and Africa recognizes you as an American. So we're in the middle. You see what I'm saying? We don't have dual citizenship.
But you do know there are places in Africa that are offering African Americans
dual citizenship, and that's what we.
So it's like
that's
we can
what
go back.
Okay.
So we are being recognized as African in Africa in certain places.
Okay,
so we
and I
can go
can
back
and I
right
roll
over
with
there
that.
and say, "Come on back over here,
right?
And we'll give you land. We'll let you come over here and settle and get back. Welcome home."
And I'm good, and I'm cool, and I'm cool with that. But as of right now. We are the only ones that doesn't have a true identity. You're giving us two different identities so that neither one has to take responsibility for us and we can look eye to eye with them. That's what I'm telling you. We don't look eye to eye with the African because we got the American on it. We don't look eye to eye with the American because we got the African on it. You understand what I'm saying?
No, I see.
So
That's
we're
what you're
right
saying.
dead smack in the middle of two nationalities that don't want us.
We got two nationalities that don't want us, but we got the most popular culture in the world.
Absolutely.
So everybody wants a part of our culture that we created.
I just wanted to put it out there. That was perfect. You snapped right now. You snapped right now.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, nah, it ain't about looking up to them. It's about us being us and being successful, getting our points across.
I'm just saying looking eye to eye. I'm talking about when I ain't saying looking up to them. I'm saying
But yeah.
right now, to the African kings and queens, to the system that's in place there. When you say African American, that makes us a foreigner to the Africans.
Yep.
Over here to the system, when you say African American, that makes us foreign to the Americans that are here.
Yep.
So we're not seeing eye to eye with either one of them. Both countries, we are a foreigner because they have attached two different ones. Pick one.
Well, see, you got to tell us that. You got to tell us that.
Right.
We have to pick. That's on us.
Yeah, we got to choose sides.
We got to pick a side.
We got to choose a
We got to
side.
pick a side.
Are we black
Are you
American?
African or are you American?
Exactly. That's my point.
Pick a side. Wait, what are you then?
I'm a black American.
A foundational black American, or you just a black
I'll say
American?
foundational. If you want to say that, I can call
See,
that.
that's the issue. I don't know what the hell to pick no more because there's so many different names to pick.
Well, I know I view myself as a black American that came from, you know what I'm saying, from an origin of Africans.
Even though you look like a whole Indian sitting right here.
I could be. I got to check my whole
See, that's the issue
thing.
that I'm having is the history. We have to have access to the history so we can really figure out what's going on with us.
Correct.
And by us not having our history, we fall victim to it. So this is another thing. If you don't know your history, you fall victim to the same shit over and over again.
Right.
So when somebody says we want to take black history out of schools and slavery out of schools, you set niggas up to fall victim to slavery again.
Absolutely.
So we're not about to forget that history. We're going to figure out that history, but we also need to know the history before that because it started before slavery.
Right.
So once we get all of this stuff together, then we can kind of work out some things.
When I was in grade school, Beehive, and we would have African History Month, or whatever, and there's white teachers in a class full of white folks, and they give us 30 days and then tell us a little bit about where we came from and stuff in those curriculums. It makes the rest of the white people there immediately at 5 and 6 years old look at me behind Wick and say he's a foreigner. He gets a month. He's a foreigner. He's not a real American. This is where he came from. He came from over there. He's no different than a Mexican. He's no different than a Chinese, an Asian. America is us. This is what a white kid's gonna think.
Well,
I'm American. I'm American.
What
He's
about
an
the
African.
Spanish Americans?
Well, I'm talking about
I mean,
black. I don't know that.
But that's my whole thing. You still got white Americans that fall up under German Americans, Italian Americans, English Americans.
But do they got that on? Go look at the application to see where it says German Americans.
Well, no, it's not going to say that, but that's what they identify with because they don't let go of their history.
Correct.
They still have access to their history, their customs, and their culture.
Yeah, but that's
they'll be in the middle of America still saying, okay,
I'm talking about what America views them as. You're talking about what they view themselves as. I'm saying on an application, an American application, it's gonna be white, African American, other. Other. They don't call Germans
non-Hispanic.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying they don't say he's a German American. He's a Russian American. That's not what's on the application. Either you Russian in the United States, either you're a Russian or you're an American, or you got dual citizenship. But ours on applications say African American. Either one. We either one. We can have dual citizenship. We can be African with this citizenship, or we can be Black American with this citizenship. But you can't give me an African American and we're eye to eye. When you identify me as an African American over here in the United States, it's saying I'm a foreigner.
And I understand what you're saying, but I feel like when it comes to these titles and these labels, we're giving them a lot of power.
Right.
Okay. I think once again it goes back, and I hate to bring back up the election or anything else that's going on. I'm not about to give these titles that much power over my day-to-day life.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
I will go back and learn my history so I can teach my kids where we come from, and foundational Black American history, African American history, Indian history. I don't care where the history is coming from. I will go and find it, and I'll give it to my kids. So that's where I'm at with it. But I'm not about to feel any type of way about what I'm being labeled as in America, because America was built on racism, okay? That's just what it is.
Correct.
And yes, they did become white, but it wasn't like that at first because you had immigrants from all over the place coming into America. And they were looking down on Italians at first. They were looking down on Jewish people that were white at first. You got black Jewish people, the Hebrew Israelites. Everybody's trying to figure out exactly who they are and where they came from and their own truth.
You just said
go find
Jewish.
your truth and you believe in your truth and you rock out with that.
You just said Jewish.
Yeah.
To show me an application where it says Jewish American on it.
But show me a Jewish American that's not going to represent where they from.
I get that. We can still represent where we're from. I'm talking about what's in ink.
Yeah.
What's in ink, when you do that, when you put that in ink, you're saying, even though we've been over here for over 400 years, you're not identifying me as a straight up 100% American, a black American. You're saying I'm half and half still. I'm an African. So therefore, if I'm African, I'm partially a citizen.
Now,
in
what
their
about
eyes.
the black non-Hispanic title? Is that not the same thing as white American? Or is it just saying that you're black American when they say you black non-Hispanic?
I mean,
because I don't see African American, I see black non-Hispanic on the application.
Well, I don't see an African American on a lot of mine.
But I ain't put in the application so doggone long.
Right. But my point I'm making, I'm gonna end it at this right here. This is what it feels like to me, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like I'm right.
Yeah.
It feels like with America, anytime you want me to be patriotic,
oh, you're 100%
anytime you
American.
want me to do anything, you want me to go die for this country.
That's right.
You want me to run a football up and down the street for your entertainment?
Come on.
You want me to stand for the flag?
Yeah.
I'm American.
That's right.
100%
American.
I'm 100% American. Anytime I need a bank loan to start a business.
Exactly.
Anytime I want the police not to come to my community and beat us to death.
Yeah.
Then I'm an African. And I don't have as many rights as an American.
Come on now.
I'm going to leave it at that.
I'm not going to argue with you, man. I mean, y'all hit the comments. Let us know how y'all feel. I mean, there's no wrong or right answers. How you feel is how you feel. Yeah. And you're entitled to your opinion. Be High Radio shouted. Big Galaxy. I'll let y'all in a minute, man. We gone.